What's happening, fam? I love you. I bless you. You're awesome. You're amazing. I hope your day's been going really, really well. And I hope if it hasn't been going well, that you've learned something through it. And I want to talk to you about getting into altered state of consciousness, I guess. Getting out of beta wave. So I noticed the other night as I was falling asleep, this regularly happens. It will start to feel like what did we used to call it, downloads or whatever. You just seem to start hearing very clearly, and that's where I've learned to start taking notes of what I'm hearing, because I don't always remember, and sometimes we can be tempted to just be like, I'm about to fall asleep, I don't want to get up, I don't want to go get a pen and a pad. I use my phone and I just keep notes. You can use audio, there's transcription apps, stuff like that. But for that current situation, that was a no-go, because everyone was sleeping in the bed. But there's a state that we get in, and it's just much like dream state, where when you're not focused on the world going on around you, when you're not in threat assessment mode or problem solving mode, which keeps you very localized, it keeps you in a diminished, right here, right now, sensual brainwave state, when you can learn how to get out of that brainwave state. Personally, I believe that we're supposed to be functioning in multiple states at the same time. Now, we just haven't learned how to do it. Maybe we haven't practiced the pathways to be able to do that, but I feel like there should be a constant awareness of all things going on, spiritual, physical, what have you. But I'm not there yet, so I'm not going to act like I am. But what I did notice was hearing very clearly, started recording, and I'm thinking, man, this happens a lot as I'm falling asleep. And I've had other experiences as I'm falling asleep. But yeah, it just related to brainwaves. So you can look it up, alpha wave, beta wave, theta wave, and there's more. But a lot of meditations, a lot of breath work, a lot of stillness, being quiet and disconnecting has to do with getting you out of beta and into theta or other ones. And that's where people experience altered states of consciousness, higher realities, whatever you want to call it. And then some people use drugs or substances to get into those brainwaves. But really, you have the power to do it already. You don't have to take anything to do it. You just have to chill. Like, you just have to relax. And most importantly, I would say, is that you have to enjoy the presence of God. You have to really just love being with Him for Him. And it will start to open up things for you. And so if you're just chilling, if your heart is just set on Him and you're resting, stuff will happen. Don't seek the experience, seek Him. And stuff comes naturally. That's the safest way I would recommend tapping into spirituality, if you will. Just becoming aware that part of you is spirit. And then news, world news, fear-based, control-based, manipulation, that stuff keeps you localized, keeps you worrying about what's going to happen to your children, what's going to happen to you, what's going to happen to the economy, what's going to happen to politics, all this fear. And so you're always assessing threats, you're living in deficit, you're living in fear, in lack, and that keeps you diminished, it keeps you low. It keeps you out of the kingdom of heaven. It keeps you out of the consciousness of it, I should say, and the manifestation and all that stuff, So you really have to set your mind on things above, like Colossians says, and you have to just rest, be anxious for nothing. All these things that Jesus said, Paul said. Paul was onto this because he was undergoing massive persecution, and yet he was going in and out of heaven. So Paul had something figured out where he was very much accomplishing things in the world, in the some people would say the real world, like come back to earth. He was very much accomplishing things in the real world, but also living from heaven. So Paul was onto something, and part of that is just loving God, enjoying his presence, and not believing everything you hear, not believing everything you see, read, as in not letting it rule over you. Stuff is actually happening that needs to be solved, that needs to be restored, that needs order brought to chaos. Yes, that's really happening. So it's true, but it's not the truth. We want to come from heaven with the truth and work order, restoration, mercy, love, power, healing, raising the dead. We want to bring that into the situation. We're not in the situation being dominated by it. We bring the solution. So have an amazing, amazing day. I love you. Learn to relax, learn to chill. Definitely keep record of what you're hearing as you're falling asleep. I can remember several times Holy Spirit was preaching. It seemed like directly to me as I was falling asleep, and it was just scriptures tying together, just this overwhelming sense of just being embedded with Christ, and it was always as I was just chilling, and there were so many things I didn't write down, but eventually I learned to start keeping track of something. When you get an impression that, hey, this is important, hey, write this down, hey, I'm teaching you something, record it. It's always awesome to look back at it. It's actually being ingrained in you, so yeah, shalom. Have an amazing, amazing rest of your day.